Welcome to Relevance. The world's greatest podcast. Hosted by author Mike R. Aikins. Where they dare to talk about topics that really matter.
Officially invite you to the Relevance Podcast. I am your host, Mike Aikins. Today, my guest is Mr. Mike Wagner of the Mike Wagner Show. And Mike is a special guest to me because he is one of the people that somewhat instrumental in me getting my show started. The way he did it, the way he showed me how easy it was, the way he made it look so easy, gave me the confidence to get my own show started. So welcome, Mike. Say hello to the audience, and we'll take it from there.
Hello, Mike. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me on board. And it's great to be on your new Relevance podcast. And I guess the master himself or other masters have taught you very well, including Yoda. And I'd love to have a background like yours. It's a reminds me of a revolving restaurant in Milwaukee. You're sitting there eating, having a steak, having a cocktail, and it's almost like a swinging view of the whole skyline. And I love your revolving skyline too, which is amazing.
Thanks, Mike. I mean, that means a lot coming from a veteran in the podcast industry like yourself. I was seeing just when I pulled up I guess I pulled you up on YouTube or something like that, and I just saw a whole bunch of videos and interviews that you have done since we last recorded our podcast. And I was just like, it's amazing, man. You're a hard worker, Mike, man. I mean, gosh, man, what do you do one every day?
Well, I wouldn't call it one a day, but I set aside certain times where I can do just one a day, 2 a day, 3 a day. I've had days where it's like 4 or 5 or even up to 6, some makeup videos. And there are times where I was gone in early part of January. My father-in-law passed away. I had to cancel a lot of interviews, had to get to and from West Virginia, trying to sort out the details and everything else. And that set everything back. And then my wife had surgery a couple of months ago, I think back in August. And I had to rearrange a lot of interviews. And then I had some other things going on. I had to rearrange. It's all about flexibility. That's the whole thing. I mean, nothing's ever smooth sailing. You have to learn to be adjustable. You have to really just do things on the fly. You have to improv. You have to be flexible. And of course, you have to be also nice but firm too. And I've had some people where say, can you air it right away? I says, no, I can't, because my style is basically just record, you play back a later date. It's just like if you're on Oprah or a game show or anything else, it's like they tell you when it's going to air. It could be like, months in advance. That's the style that I have, and we just have so many people in line. I mean, I've had some great guests, believe me, don't get me wrong. I've had terrific guests like yourself, and I've had just all kinds, celebrities, singers, actors, comedians, upcomings, and even business leaders and medical profession, and, from the paranormal and religious Christian sector. So I've had all kinds on, and it's almost like an open forum, let them have their say and be in the spotlight and just show what they're all about to the world and influence. So my goal is to encourage and enlighten, entertain, and of course, let the people be themselves. I mean, the Mike Wagner Show isn't about me. It's about the guest. That's what I focus on. It's the guest.
That is super awesome, Mike. I was having a few technical difficulties with my microphone and stuff like that, but it seems now to be a little bit clearer. Tonight's show with the great Mike Wagner here, I just kind of wanted to make it informal and just have us both relax. And I feel really relaxed when I'm interviewing Mr. Mike Wagner because he makes me feel so comfortable, when I'm in front of the mic, because this guy, once he gets started, I mean, if you hear this guy read off all of his sponsors and all of the people that's attached to his podcast, it's like a radio. I mean, you think Howard Cosell used to be able to talk, or even Stephen A. Smith without even taking a breath. You're right up there with them, Mike.
Oh my gosh, Howard Cosell, that is a blast from the past. I mean, the guy was a former lawyer before he got into sportscasting, and listen to him. There are days he's annoying, there are days he's just spot on. I love watching Monday Night Football because of Cosell, Dandy Don Meredith, and I think they had I'm drawing a blank.
So how do you compare Howard Cosell with Chris Berman? Chris Berman does that ESPN Monday night thing where he does the fastest 3 minutes in sports or something like that. How do you compare him with the old original Howard Cosell?
There's one thing I can say about Chris Berman. He's going all the way. That's how he does it, all the way. Howard Cosell just goes into detail. He's not afraid to give his opinion, and he's very educated in the sport, and he just tells it like it is, and he doesn't hold back on a lot of things. Nowadays, if he tries to do that, he'd probably get fired right away, or probably get dumped onto some minor network, like say Fox 46 or CBS 57 or something like that, or maybe like ESPN 5 or anything like that. But he just tells it like it is, the way it is. I mean, you can't find sportscasters like that these days. It's almost like they have to conform to the network. I mean, the sportscasters I miss are the ones that just they describe it like it is. They see how they see it, and they convey that message to the audience out there. This is what's happening. This is what we see. And if they disagree on a call, they disagree on a call. That's the thing. And if a player's having a bad night, they'll outright say they're having a tough night, or they're having a great game. They're having a great game. They don't sugarcoat. It's like they tell it like it is. I mean,
right. Absolutely, man. Well, that's good stuff. I wanted to let my audience know I'm speaking with the great Mike Wagner here of the Mike Wagner Show. Welcome to the Relevance Podcast, another episode. Tonight, we're just going to freelance a little bit. I'm with one of the gurus of the podcast industry, Mr. Mike Wagner. Mike, tell me how many different podcast affiliates or portals represent your podcast? I know you have Anchor FM because I do Anchor FM as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm currently over 25 podcast platforms: Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible. There's also Overcast, Geo7, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and there's also PCA. And I think there's about a number of them, which I found out that I just found out that I'm on Podbean, and I wasn't even signed up on Podbean. And there's also I'm looking to get on some others too. Of course, there's YouTube. You can subscribe to that. I put a few on Vimeo, which I'm looking to expand. And of course, if you just look up, there's also Stitcher. There's also Deezer. There's also Radio Public. And I think there's also, Listen Note, Outtail. And I'm looking through these one day and went, holy cow. And I mean, I'm on some podcasts where I've never even heard of these podcast platforms.
Yeah, what's incredible? Like crazy. Absolutely. What's incredible about that is I'm on some that I don't even know that I'm on either. And, I was looking at my analytics last week, and it was showing me that I'm on Anchor FM, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and
that's Spotify. Another one.
Okay. So Anchor, I gotta take my hat off to Anchor FM. I want to give a shout out to Anchor.fm. These guys are so great because they give you a platform for novice people like myself to start out in the podcast industry, and they give you a fair chance at being good at it. They have some programs in there built into their system, into their portal, which allows you to bring in sponsors and record your little sponsor takes. And I mean, it's just a great overall setup. Anchor.fm, for anyone out there that wants to get into the podcast business, I do recommend Anchor.fm. But moving right along, Mr. Wagner, I also want to send a shout out to Stephanie Chandler of the Nonfiction Authors Association. She was the one who hooked me up with Mr. Mike Wagner. I don't know if he's aware of that or not, but she's
Stephanie Chandler. Really? who's Stephanie Chandler? Because I think I got you off another list, like Stephanie Chandler. Like,
Yes,
boy, I'm going to have to reach out to her one day. It's like, it was never mentioned. Like, well,
right.
Stephanie, I've never met you. I just want to say a big thank you.
Yes, she is.
And thank you, too.
Yes, she's the Nonfiction Authors Association. She created this wonderful platform for nonfiction authors like me to get on there and write our books. And she teaches us how to market the book and how to meet people on podcasts and everything associated with getting your book out there. You can do it with the Nonfiction Authors Association and Stephanie Chandler. So yeah, so I did want to let you know that she was the one that somehow or another your name or your podcast was on her website, and I found out about you through her. So
wow, that is amazing. And it looks like you did your homework really well. And I guess you must have had, what, about 3, 5, 7, 12, 20, 50, 100, 500,000 podcasts to choose from. And I guess that sounds like you probably did eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the tongue, or you just threw darts at it, or you just like took a coin to drop, or maybe did like on a farm, cow chip bingo.
Absolutely.
Just wherever it drops, it's like, there's a podcast. And I remember one part in what was it, Coming to America with Eddie Murphy. It's like they spin this globe and they're trying to figure, okay, where am I going to find my queen? And they just, close their eyes and point at where the globe stops. I can find my queen in Queens. So I think that's how people just do that too. They do their homework, and some just like, pick and choose Wheel of Fortune or cards, straws, luck of the draw, or just like, come on, God, give me a sign, something like that. So creative ways to do it.
Yeah, well, Mike, I wanted to come back and do this one again because the first one we did, we had some technical difficulties, and there was about probably 8 minutes to 10 minutes of that first video that we did that was basically didn't come through on the audible part. So I was going to basically make a YouTube video, because what I do is I take my podcast and I also make a YouTube video of the actual podcast. Now I'm studying, gurus out there like yourself, Joe Rogan. Look how big that guy is. I mean.
Oh, my gosh. He's been doing what, 10, 13, 15 years? And
yes.
He's got what, not just 1 million, but 10 million, maybe close to 1 billion. And it could be like a Jeff Bezos number, like 1 trillion the way he goes. And
absolutely.
Wow. I'll never catch up to that guy. Trust me.
Well, you never know. You never know. If you stay at the pace you're going, you won't be too far away from him. I like the fact that he opens up his show. He's very versatile in terms of, the people that he has on there, as well as the subjects that he talks about. So, I mean, gosh, man, I see that guy. I mean, he went over to Spotify, and I think he took his platform over to Spotify recently, and they made a big deal about it and everything. I'm sure he signed a very lucrative deal because he's going to be bringing a lot of people over to Spotify. So, yeah.
That's actually a really good platform, because I get a lot of responses from Spotify. And, of course, there's Spreaker and Anchor FM, and I get a lot of responses from just about everywhere. I mean, Joe Rogan going to Spotify, kudos to him. I mean, he made a bold move. He needed to do what he needed to do. I mean, a big kudos going out to Joe Rogan for, taking Spotify to the next level. And that's where a lot of, the podcasts have come from. I've had people say, I've listened to you on this and that. And, it's been Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. And I'm sure you get that too yourself. It's like, I heard you on this platform, that platform, that platform. And that's how you know where your audience or listeners are coming from, or those platforms. And it really helps to really, really listen and get a vibe to what people are saying. That is the most important thing. You really got to listen to people and take interest.
Absolutely. And hey, thanks for sharing that, that advice with us. I mean, we all want to, have some good, stay in this game. We want to last in this industry. I mean, as of lately, I mean, what better platform can you have? I mean, I'm looking at a lot of the gentlemen that, or a lot of the people that went in and actually their claim to fame was YouTube. But see, YouTube has changed so much over the years. I mean, they created a lot of thousandaires out of that, man. I mean, it was guys making a ton of money off of YouTube. But recently, they kind of changed their platform a little bit. They're a little bit more strict on the guidelines and the things that you can say. And it's bringing a little bit more censorship into the videos, which is really one of the things that I am so glad that the podcast industry has not really, brought into effect yet. So, I mean, I'm not going to get on here and get on my podcast. I realize how powerful a platform it is to be able to get on here and speak your mind and have interesting people on your platform and stuff like that. So I'm not going to take advantage of it and lose this great platform that I have. But, you always have to think about, your subjects, things that you talk about. You want to make sure that you're, I guess, politically correct in, your approach to discussing a lot of these different topics. So with that being said, how do you feel about the current coronavirus thing going on?
Well, the one thing I have to say that it is very, very unfortunate where so many things have been shut down. Sports, entertainment, theater, Broadway, movies, Hollywood. I mean, the whole record industry and singers have been put out of work. And I've been talking to some actors and actresses and comedians, and they're trying to scramble to find ways. Some do DoorDash, some do Uber, some take up another part-time job or two, and they actually get pretty creative by going out and creating their own videos and entertainment, whatever else. But I have to say is that right now that it is quite unfortunate. It's been taking out a lot of businesses, small, medium, large, and right now everybody's just pulling their hairs out. Like, what do we do? What's the vaccine? And I think they're trying too hard to get it perfect. But right now, it's like we're taking this one day at a time at this point. I mean, I feel for the people who have been affected by the coronavirus, but the reason why the podcasts have gotten big is because people are looking for an outlet, and people will come to you. People will come to me. People will come to Joe. People will come to Tom, Dick, or Harry, or Jane, or Mary, or Martha, whoever's got a podcast. It's like, podcasters should really open their doors to people getting on and doing what they love doing, because you never know what that big thing might come around. So in a way that the whole Corona thing is pretty much that, yeah, it's taken a hit on the economy and everything else, putting a lot of people out of jobs, but it also gives people the opportunity to refocus, redevelop, reinvent, and just look for new ways, brand new outlets. I mean, I talked to a guy that he was a bass player for Phil Collins, Toto, James Taylor. He started doing YouTube videos just for fun and just being silly. And it was a great platform. Everybody hit it. And then there was a lady on there that was doing stand-up comedy and started doing puppets, like just in front of a camera. Just little things like that. I mean, you really have to just stretch out what you do and really, really just, get out of the comfort zone. That's all. So.
Absolutely. Hey, that's some great knowledge you're speaking there, Mr. Mike Wagner. And I just want to take one additional moment here and send a shout out to Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. Now, these are the wonderful people that, these are the creators and the designers that created my backdrop, my virtual background here that you're looking at. They've also done, yes, lots of intros, outros, and sweepers for my podcast as well. You can go on there. You can hire these individual creators to do basically anything for you. They'll create websites. They'll design podcasts. They'll do basically anything under the sun, and they're independent contractors, and their prices are really great. So I want to let my listening audience know I can't take the credit for this great, wonderful background that I have. I see that you have the Green Bay Packers in your background.
What? As you know, I've been a sports fan for many, many years before the pandemic really took the whole thing down. I lived in Wisconsin for 9 years before my family moved to Illinois, and I became some Chicago fans, but the Packers have always been in my blood before we came to Bismarck, North Dakota, and took the Packer blood with me. Now I got to deal with like Viking fans, Bronco fans, Chiefs fans, Seahawk fans, and whoever else, and got a few Bear fans living in North Dakota. But I mean, with the whole thing with football too, that everything's changed as well too due to the pandemic. But I have to say this is that it's just amazing how the Packers are playing despite getting killed by Tampa Bay. But now it's just opening up a whole new world without crowds and fans and everything else. And I have to say, it's like, I still can't get over the fact that you're watching, say the Patriots and the Broncos go at it in front of like, what, 10 fans or something. It's like playing sandlot football. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, just recently with the NBA championship, LeBron got his fourth, and that was I watched pretty much the bubble, the NBA. They did their whole thing with the bubble, and I kind of respect the way the NBA did it. Some people don't like it. I like it. I think they addressed the fact that yes, the coronavirus is out there. It is affecting people, but we're going to do it like this. We're going to come inside the bubble. They didn't allow any fans, and they had this really unique format to where they had virtual fans that would come in like Zoom, like you and I are doing right now, and they would have they would have pictures of the fans in the stands, just a picture of them, but those fans would be actually on Zoom, watching the game, and it's almost like they appeared in the bubble.
Oh my gosh! I mean, it's probably better than those cardboard ones too, where it's like at a Twins baseball game, it's like you can put your face on a cardboard and pay $85. Was it a season, a game, or something?
Oh,
I went, no, I don't think so. But virtual, and if you do it for free for Zoom, it's like, I'll be glad to take it. But it's like, how do you order a hot dog and a beer when it's virtual? It's like, how do you order one?
Well, I mean, that's when you go to DoorDash and you go to all of the little gig people that's in your community, and then they get the business because you're watching the game on TV, and the owners are paid by the broadcasters and the advertisers and stuff like that. So they're getting their money, and they're getting their, whatever they wanted to get out of it. But as a fan, just watching the games, I really appreciated the way the NBA addressed the whole Black Lives Matter thing, as well as other issues, systemic racism, and certain other issues that they tried to tackle head on. You gotta take your hat off to them for doing that. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people did like it. A lot of people were indifferent about it. A lot of people just wanted to watch a basketball game. But it really became seamless as the season went on, and as the playoffs started. You started to kind of put that stuff in the backdrop and then just kind of focus on basketball. And, the players started playing better, and you could kind of tell they were a little rusty to start off. But after they got going, they ended up going into the playoffs, getting a lot of momentum, and the level of play stepped up a lot. And, I'm satisfied with the Los Angeles Lakers winning it, LeBron getting his fourth. I still think he'll need at least two more to be in the discussion with, who the greatest of all time is. And, of course, everyone's saying that it's Michael Jordan right now.
I'm one of them, Michael Jordan. I mean, hands down, Michael Jordan. I mean, look at the stats they have. Michael Jordan's a perfect 6-0 in the NBA Finals. LeBron was what, 2 and 3 or something like that? And you compare
4 and 10, 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. That's it. And it's like Game 7.
But
LeBron
shot
10 what?
Straight. But he went to 10 straight, Mike. That has to be factored in.
But I'm simply saying there's all these comparisons. Michael did this in this era, and LeBron did this. I mean, it's going to be a never-ending battle. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, that's going to be a never-ending battle. And, of course, another and never-ending battle in a different sport is the Buffalo Bills. Did the Buffalo Bills making the Super Bowl 4 straight, is that an accomplishment? Or losing 4 straight, is that considered a disaster? You're never going to have a right answer. The whole debate about, Michael Jordan versus LeBron, Magic versus LeBron, Larry Bird versus LeBron, Kareem versus LeBron or anybody like that.
I say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's my guy. And the reason why I say it is because here's the way I picture the greatest of all time. The greatest of all time to me has to be a guy that comes in and impacts the game in so many ways other than just scoring points and getting rebounds. Now, when you factor in the fact that they changed rules for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Wilt Chamberlain and guys like that, they changed the rules for Shaquille O'Neal, players like that.
I remember that.
Yes, when they're changing the rules just to make everybody else appear to be even to this guy who's just a beast out there, I'm saying that guy is going to be my GOAT. And the reason why I give it to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is he played over 21 seasons, and he was effective in arguably 19 of them, okay? And still, in year 21, he could still throw the sky hook shot. And
I remember that, the patented sky hook. Everybody imitated that. And
absolutely.
Not the dunk, but
was
the sky hook.
often imitated. It was often imitated, but never duplicated. And that's another reason why Kareem is my pick for the greatest of all time, is because no one could do the sky hook. Nobody can even do it today. Can anybody do the sky hook?
And you know something too? What's another lost art is the set shot. And I think it was one of the Johnsons that did that. It was a Kevin Johnson or somebody from Phoenix Suns. He was a master of the set shot. No matter where, 2 points, 3 points, whatever, it's a set shot. Nobody does that anymore. It's either a 3-pointer or you roll over the whole team just to do a slam dunk. And of course, you remember Daryl Dawkins back in the day. It's like he would shatter the backboards. Oh my gosh, that was like a showstopper. I remember going to a Bulls game. My dad took me. They played the Sixers, and Dawkins was playing. And I think he was like, the third time he did, he just shattered the backboard. It went, yeah, like that. Although the game took like 2 hours to finish, it was like delayed for 2 hours. Everybody loved it. It's like nobody had cameras back there. These mobile devices to capture, put it on YouTube. It's like it was all membered right here and put in here, and they describe it so well.
Yeah, well, one thing that you just said that was very, very surreal was the fact that Daryl Dawkins, I mean, he was so incredible. He was breaking backboards, and he would do it on purpose. And the NBA changed rules for this guy. Here's another guy that they changed rules for. They said, hey, look, you break another backboard, we're going to fine you $15,000 every time you break one. Rest in peace, Daryl Dawkins. A lot of the big guys like that, you get Kevin Duckworth, Daryl Dawkins, Moses Malone.
Moses is my favorite. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they leave this world too fast. I mean, they're big guys, and it's something in the water that they're drinking to get them that big, but they leave far too early. And I just, it's a shame that they're not here with us anymore, but they were great contributors to the game of basketball. So,
and they were too. I like to do a podcast with you on basketball and everything else since we're on that subject. But I think the next superstar is going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks. Although the Miami Heat is in hot pursuit, I mean that guy's really changed the game. He is like the ultimate Greek freak. He's done just about everything possible, except his kryptonite was Kawhi Leonard. It's like an average guy. How did he do it? I mean, that's just a question. I'm scratching my head. It's just like, Kawhi Leonard is just like any other player. He'll shoot, he'll score, he'll dunk and everything. It's like, what was so special about him? It's just like so many intangibles or X factors. Like, I couldn't pinpoint it. And I figured Antetokounmpo's going to take him to the next level, but Kawhi Leonard just shut him down like kryptonite. You're like, oh, my goodness. Whew,
absolutely. Man. Now, the thing about Antetokounmpo is he's a great talent. He doesn't quite have the charisma yet. He does. I think he has, okay? But in the media and what the NBA looks for is a guy like LeBron, Magic Johnson. They look for Kobe Bryant. They look for guys that can go out there and not only walk the walk, but talk the talk, okay? So these guys, when you put a microphone in their face, they're going to say something substantial. They're going to say something that everybody can resonate with. They're going to say something that will cross over, you know, from race to race to race. You know, these are the guys. Now, and to Capocco, he's not quite there yet, and from a political standpoint and from a PR standpoint. But as far as basketball, yes. I mean, he even went on the record and said he can't be the face of the NBA because, number one, he was saying something that he's like not from this country. So he feels like the face of the NBA has to be a person from this country. I disagree with him a little bit, but I think if you have charisma and if you can cross over and if you can make anybody like you, you know, just because you play basketball, that's the number one ingredient that people like LeBron have. Even though a lot of people hate LeBron, a lot of people love him as well. I think more people love him than hate him.
I think talking along the lines of foreign as well, too. Look at Tony Kukoc from the Bulls. It's like he was a big star in Croatia, had a tough time adjusting. But then the way he played, that he goes out and just does his job, you know, he became somewhat of a face of the NBA in a way, too. And, of course, Manute Bol, you know, 7'6", and coming from, like, Sudan or something. I mean, he was like a twig, but he was just amusing to watch. And Georgie Marie-Jean, he was like, God, 7'10" from Cleveland?
Absolutely.
I mean, the guy was a beast over there, but the guy was a klutz. That's a problem.
Yes,
it's
he
like,
was.
you know, it's just like, you know, he'll put up like a layup, and it's like he'll miss. I mean, he'll dunk, but he'll block. But, oh, my goodness, like 7'10", you should be able to Hall of Fame easy. But, I mean, good player, but there are times he was just a klutz out there. But, I mean, somebody should tell Antetokounmpo that, you know, he should be proud that coming from Greece and making a big impact. I think to make him more powerful, the Bucks need to have more supporting players around him. It's like they don't have a lot of they don't pay a lot of money for a real supporting cast. It's either him or it's like you live or die by the Greek freak. And Milwaukee really needs to pay some serious support players too. You know, get guys from Miami, Boston, all that if they want to compete to the next level. Otherwise, he goes to Miami and that's pretty much it for Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is, you know, Milwaukee is not a real big media city. They're just, you know, they're in Wisconsin and, you know, they're the stepsisters to the Green Bay Packers, you know. And
oh, yeah. And the Brewers.
And the Brewers. But they have a good following. It's just that, you know, a lot of the great players are not going to want to go to a place that's so cold. You know, people want to go to places like Los Angeles, Miami. You know, they'll go to New York simply because New York is the media capital of the world. And they'll go to places along in California like Golden State and, you know, the Clippers. And, you know, you got guys that will even go to Utah and Portland and Seattle. Now, Seattle lost their team to the Oklahoma City Thunder, you know, but that's a whole nother podcast right there.
Right. And don't forget Memphis, too. That's also a nice place as well, too. It's like you're outside the music city, but you're also getting some good culture there. Some people have gone that route, too, and you can also be a coach and whatever else. But there was once upon a time the Milwaukee Bucks, you know, the previous ownership really turned on their fan base, and the fan base was dwindling like crazy. And they're at a point they're getting ready to move. But then I think Jay-Z or somewhere along the line came in and bought the Milwaukee Bucks and brought in a head coach, brought in players, and they started becoming happy again. I think it's either Jay-Z or somewhere along the lines in that community that bought the Milwaukee Bucks and pretty much saved them from.
Jay-Z took a partial ownership in the Brooklyn Nets, the ones that have KD and Kyrie Irving right now. And he moved them from New Jersey to Brooklyn. So, no, I definitely, I agree with you there. That was monumental in terms of, you know, the NBA moving a team from a city that wasn't quite supporting their team to a city that, you know, basically can compete with the Knicks. Now, the Knicks have been down for so many years because of, you know, bad management and different players leaving and getting hurt and stuff like that. But, we'll definitely dedicate I'm going to get you back on the show, and we're going to talk nothing but basketball and sports. Okay. So
I'm all for it. Right now, I'm just writing down the information and saving it too. It's just like, I think that'd be great, just having a sports show as well too, despite the pandemic. And I'm sure there's people that want to talk sports and, find outlets and whatever else. And of course, the Lakers won their 17th championship, tying the Boston Celtics. And I guess another question is when's the NBA going to start? Are going to start the same bubble? And I thought about this too, that since the bubble is a success, why not create more bubbles? Since Disney World, Disneyland, and Orlando, wherever it is shut down, it's like, take those and turn those into bubbles. It's like not just one bubble, but house them to like, I don't know, what was it, like 30 or 32 teams in the NBA? 32 bubbles. Do something like that. And then they just walk through by teleport or underneath the ground and with those air mist things, like that.
Yeah.
Or just put on the masks just to walk under through. It's like get from one bubble to another, try
Absolutely.
Like
So switching gears a little bit, Mike, tell me what's the environment like? You're in South Dakota?
Actually North Dakota, which
North
is
Dakota? What is the
I'm up in Bismarck.
What are the people doing there? How are they coming back from the lockdown? Are businesses starting to open up there, and are things getting semi back to normal?
Well, the situation in Bismarck is that Bismarck is not under a mandatory order. North Dakota is not under a mandatory order. They're one of the few states to do that. They pretty much give you an option because they believe in freedom of choice and not being told by government, being told what to do. And
I love that. You know what? I'm moving to North Dakota, Bismarck. I'm on my way.
Hey, you know what? We got plenty of room for you, so come on board. Look, I got room over here. I got room over there, and I can move some stuff. And we'll house you for sure. So afterwards, I'll just tear this down and just make a room for you, so we can do it.
Hey, I'm telling you, Mike, I am serious. I am looking forward to relocate to a city that is exactly like you just described it. We should have our freedom, man. This is all about civil liberties. This is all about our constitutional rights, man. You shouldn't be made or forced to wear a mask to go places and do this and that. If your health is good and you've been taking care of yourself all of these years, why should you fall into a category of a few people that are having a problem with this whole virus thing, when our bodies have been fighting viruses like this for hundreds of years? I mean, it's nothing new, and it's more of a plandemic than a pandemic. And the numbers
Plandemic. Yeah.
Yes, the numbers are skewed. They're putting numbers out there that are not accurate. They're saying way more people are dying that are actually dying. And here's another thing that I've learned recently is if you go into the hospital with any type of medical injury or ailment and you die, they're going to mark it coronavirus. And that's the doctors cooperating with the government to put out this narrative that everybody, that this is so dangerous. But I want to move to Bismarck, North Dakota, man.
And you know something too?
I want to be out there just being myself and going on with my life, because I can't struggle with this, man. I'm not going to sit here and just keep struggling with this thing, because it's all up here. If you're not struggling with it up here.
Right. Exactly. People need to take better care of themselves too. And back in 1918, when the Spanish flu broke out, people wore masks, but they still sat like sardines, never this whole 6 feet apart, never shut down. Players wore the masks, and it was like business as usual, and they still managed to get through the pandemic. It's like business as usual. It's like, ball players wore masks in hockey and everything else.
The mask has been proven to not even be useful. Okay, because, think about it. Okay, if you go into a restaurant and the servers and the waiters and waitresses have on masks, okay, you go in with a mask, but you're allowed to take your mask off when you get ready to eat. Do you really need a mask? If we really needed a mask, you'd never be able to take them off. You'd never be able to go anywhere without wearing a mask outside of your house. So the mask thing
and the problem,
go ahead.
And And the problem is too that there are people who read lips, and my wife read lips because she's hard of hearing, and it's essential to read lips, otherwise you can't understand what they're saying. And of course, how can you enjoy your food when you wear a mask? How can you enjoy a game when you're wearing a mask? And how can you enjoy doing a sport wearing a mask? It's like, how can you enjoy all that? It's like a lot of people are just staying home, and I'm better off doing that. If you have to wear a mask, we're better off just staying home and entertaining ourselves.
So what does that do? So what does that do when you stay home and you entertain yourself? I mean, you're fortunate enough to have a podcast that goes around the world, and so am I. But the people who don't have that, they don't do business. These businesses are shutting down because of something that just can't be proven. The numbers are totally overblown. It's not true. All the people they're saying are dying of it. Now, yes, there have been some people, but really, I mean, if you do your own research and you feel comfortable with not wearing a mask and going out and doing things, you should be allowed to do that. That's your constitutional right. So I don't want to spend the whole show talking about it because I don't want to get my podcast or my YouTube videos taken off because I'm so outspoken against this issue.
I think a lot of people are really upset about the whole thing. And there's one thing I say about, Bismarck is that when my wife was in the hospital because she had some heart trouble and she had to stay for a few days, there were actually quite a few nurses that came from New York that worked in Bismarck. And the rent in New York for one bedroom was $2,000. And I think they're making like so much at a hospital in New York. And they come to Bismarck, work at one of their hospitals. They're getting paid more. They got 3-bedroom for $750. They can walk around downtown Bismarck like it's New York. They don't get shot. They don't get mugged, and they can afford more things. And a lot of people are coming to the smaller cities because of the living in better quality. And there's radio people out there who are just tired of the big cities coming to settle in a smaller to medium market, and they want to do it for their kids, do it for their families, and do it for themselves. And now the big trend is that through the pandemic, people are leaving the big cities and just getting houses anywhere. If they say, hey, if someone can work out of their home anywhere in the world,
doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter where you live anymore. I can be in Bismarck, North Dakota, and I can do my Relevance podcast from there, and I can travel anywhere I want to go, and I can still be an effective person out there in the job community and in my community. So, yeah, I mean, one good thing about this pandemic, it's not all bad. I mean, there are some good things to come out of it. People are forcing, the people who didn't want to use technology in the beginning, the ones that they're now being forced to learn this stuff. You're going to have to learn how to work a computer. You got to learn how to work a smartphone. You got to learn how to get on YouTube and do Zoom conferences and things of that nature because it's becoming the norm. So that was one good thing about it. It did create another environment, another level of living that everybody's going to need to be able to do moving forward. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the fact that now smaller cities like Oklahoma City and Bismarck, North Dakota, and Aurora, Colorado, or Salt Lake City, Utah, places like this now.
And don't forget Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls, South Dakota has gotten really big because you got all the technology down there too, and all the big corporations in Sioux Falls, and you got Omaha, which is really getting big, and then you got Cheyenne, Wyoming, or Laramie has gotten big. Billings, Montana, and you got I think I'm trying to think of one city in Minnesota. I think it's either Austin or Alexandria, and even Des Moines. They're getting up there, or it's like Independence, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas, and wow, yes. I mean, look at all these states you don't even think of, and you got the cities that are just starting to bloom like crazy. And I had someone tell me that Bismarck is going to be the next Atlanta about
it sure will
a few decades, and it's getting there. Yes, it used to be 50,000. Now we're 80,000, and it keeps growing. My goodness.
Good stuff. Now listen, we're going to take a break, Mike, and I'm going to pay some bills and allow my sponsors to come in. And we're going to do that. We're going to pause for a minute. and we're going to be right back with the Relevance Podcast and my guest today, Mr. Mike Wagner. Be back in a few seconds. Thank you. Okay, Mike, I am back. Just needed to put a little pause there. You know how it goes when we're editing these videos and these podcast shows. So just needed a little brief pause there, and we'll get the show back going again. So we were talking about great cities that people are now moving to. Now, I know a lot of people moved out of New York. I mean, man, they say it's a big exodus. They're calling it the biggest exodus in the history of this country.
And it's getting worse by the minute. I've had complaints about people wanting to get out of New York, and people asking me, "Hey, you got some room for us? Do you know of anyone?" and everything else. And Los Angeles is on the verge of it. Chicago's on the verge of it. And you got Dallas, Philadelphia, Boston. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Houston, Chicago. Houston, Chicago. Let's name some other big cities. Well, you got New York City, San Francisco, and Oakland.
San Francisco, that's very high up there.
Yeah.
Yes, and Detroit, that's getting me a mass exodus, although it's becoming like one of those cities making a comeback in the art industry. And I was going to say Cleveland, they're making a comeback. Philadelphia, I think they're on the verge of moving, and whatever else. Miami could be in for an exodus. And boy, just a good amount of cities in Seattle and Portland and all that. I mean, look at the riots they had up there too. My goodness.
Yes.
Wow. It is just something. And
it just basically goes to show us that a lot of our civil liberties, just the right to freedom of press, the freedom of speech, the right to peaceful assembly, the right to bear arms. I did a podcast about our constitutional rights, the Bill of Rights and whatnot. Do you know, man, a lot of people don't even know what their rights are. So they don't even know what they're losing during this pandemic, but you people like me and you who are aware of what our rights actually are, we're open, and we're woke to the fact that there is another side to this. See, a lot of people think, even people in the medical field, and it's funny because I've been to the doctor's office recently, and you got people working in the medical field who are oblivious to what's really going on in this pandemic thing. I mean, they actually believe everything that they hear and see on TV, and they work in the medical field.
And that's amazing. And it's amazing too, because they have all that information, but then it's like they get programmed thinking that everything's okay. They're going to pass on sooner or later and whatever else. And there's this fights over, what to do, what not to do. Is this corona? Is this not corona? It's like, there's a lot of that going on too. And I mean, you're supposed to be curing the people, but not, trying to please the insurance companies. That's what some hospitals do. And that's another issue too, that some turn away depending upon the insurance. And, right now that's going to be a huge battlefield too, like with the insurance and the way things run. And also with CEOs, just cutting costs and just taking it for themselves. And you're right. The big thing out there right now is like, oh, somebody's got COVID. Somebody died of COVID. Yep. Hospitals get more money. That's just
exactly.
more for them.
I mean, do you realize how much it takes now to even get a test for COVID-19? I think it's something incredible, man. I mean, it's some kind of incredible figure, man. It might be, I don't know, $5,000 or $6,000 or something like that. I mean,
oh my gosh.
Unreasonable.
And there's countries out there that do it for like less than 100. And the big situation, of course, we have in the States is that in Canada, prescription drug prices are a lot cheaper than the U.S. People go to Canada to get prescription drugs. And then you go down to Mexico for surgeries, or even get your wisdom teeth pulled out for like maybe $100, couple $100, whatever it is. And, you know, Canada does a better job with pharmaceuticals, and Mexico does a better job with surgeries than they do in the United States. And people are starting to do that. I know of people that, you know, go to Canada just to get prescription drugs, or go to Mexico to do surgeries, and they really put their time and dedication to it, something they love. It's not for the money. It's like they're really there to care for people. So when you hear stuff about that, it's like you wonder, what is wrong with this country? That's a question.
Absolutely. You know, it really, for people to really understand what type of system we're in, you know, they just have to do a lot of research. They have to study their history to understand that the United States is a corporation. It's a corporation based out of Washington, D.C. Okay, it's a business. Don't think about it as a government, because if you think about it as a government, you're going to always have your hand out wanting to sign up for their programs and wanting them to give you stuff. Like with me, I don't care about no stimulus. I'm not sitting around waiting on no stimulus check. I'm out here making my own money. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sitting around here waiting on the government to give me something. And what they do is you're falling right into their trap. When you're sitting out there waiting on a stimulus check number 2 and all this kind of stuff, when you can be using this time to recreate yourself, reinvent yourself, take advantage of being able to work from home and do 2 or 3 gigs and do things online and meet different people and branch out and don't limit yourself to anything. But see, people are sitting around here waiting on stimulus checks. So, you know, I say that to say, man, I just try to encourage all my listeners to understand that the United States is a business. They look at it as a business, and they've been bankrupt for over 100 years. People don't realize it.
Was it thanks to the Civil War, or what was it?
Well, it was the paperback. When they went to paperbacks after Lincoln and all of that, that's what changed the whole thing. When you went to the central banking system, they took away people's gold and silver. See, gold and silver is the real money, okay? That's real money. It's never going to change. You can always use that as money. Whereas fiat currency, which is this paper dollar bill stuff, I mean, if you read on the dollar bill, it says as plain as day, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. That means that this is nothing but another bill. You're just passing a bill to somebody. There's nothing tangible behind this. That means it's fiat. That means it's just, yes, it's the world reserve. Going around the world, it's the US dollar. It's what they base all the other currencies on, but it's in trouble right now. Okay. And we'll have a podcast about that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. I want to be really careful about some of the things I say about it and what we talk about in terms of that. But I do want to educate my listeners and let them know that the fiat currency system is not going to just be able to continue, because if you're just going out and printing trillions and trillions of dollars, but it's not trickling down to the common people, only the big people are getting the money. The banks, the big companies, they're printing out trillions of dollars, and it's not coming to me and you, okay? They give us a little measly $1,200 stimulus, and we're supposed to be happy with that. So if people would just really look at the situation and understand the difference between socialism, communism, and capitalism, okay? That's what we're dealing with.
And of course, you can learn all that stuff on YouTube as well, too. You know, learn about nowadays, learn things on YouTube, the Constitution, how to fix a car, how to make coffee, how to do a podcast, Absolutely. Or how to hook up your phone to a mixer and all that. Or it's like, learn about the history of whatever. Everything's on YouTube these days with the whole new technology. But
sure.
Of course, the thing is, you talk about the whole system as well too, and I saw something on Facebook too, which really hit it about what was it, the cow or something that you know, you have a cow here, and the capitalist, you know, just you know, make the milk, sell it, and they tell them to go buy cows. And I think socialism, it's like you everybody gets a cow like everybody else, and then communism is like, you know, here's my cow, you get the rest. It's somewhere along those lines.
Right.
But you can find that too on Facebook and all over.
Right.
Yes.
Well, if you notice, the communism, which is what they have in China, they're going to like a cashless society. You know, they'll put a chip. They want to do biometrics. You know, you don't even have to have money. They want to control everything. They want to control the money you spend, what you spend your money on. They want to control where you work. Yes, they want to give you a working, they'll give you a working, what they call a working salary. Everybody gets the same thing, you know, and, you know, but that's, in a system like that, that's communism and that's socialism. And a lot of people don't understand, the Democrats, that's what they want. They want pro-government. They want strong government. They want government social programs to come in and rule your life. Whereas Republicans, they want business. They want you to go out and start your own business. And, you know, they talk more about those types of things. But, you know, the whole political game, I tell people all the time, listen, if you're going to get into politics, do your research. It is going to do more harm for you to go out and just vote straight Democratic ticket when you haven't read the issues. You don't even know what the Democrats stand for. You're just doing that because that's what you're used to doing. But if you don't understand politics, the best thing for you to do is get involved in your local politics, because these are the things that you have more control over. You don't have control over Donald Trump and the federal system up in Washington, D.C. Okay, if you're not a millionaire or a billionaire, that stuff is not going to affect you. Okay, you need to focus on your local politics, your local political scene, because you can vote for the mayor and you can vote for the superintendent of schools and you can vote for judges and you can vote for police chiefs and sheriffs and stuff like this. And these are the people that are instrumental in, you know, forming policy and legislation and things of this nature that are going to affect you more than on the national level. I mean, sure, vote in the national election. I mean, sure, that's your right. That's your constitutional right or whatever to go out and do that. So go do it. But I tell you what, the political game is nothing to back into. And if you get in it and you don't know what you're doing more harm than good by just going out there voting. And you don't even know what the issues are.
And plus, too, the news networks as well, too. It used to be that they present both sides of the stories. You know, back in the day when you and I grew up, you know, CBS, NBC, ABC, like with your Walter Cronkite, Floyd Calver, Harry Reasoner. Then you got the McNeil Lehrer report on PBS, and they tell you with a straight face. They say, "Good evening. You know, police have arrested a 42-year-old man for robbery," or say, you know, a guy shot somebody. They tell you with a straight face. There was no left or right or bias or anything. They just read the news. It's like a talking head that's straight at you. And nowadays it's like they have all these right-wing, left-wing networks that just tell you what they want to tell you. It's like, whatever happened to like the independent news networks? Like, you hardly ever hear that these days.
You're right. I mean, you have to go to PBS or the BBC or
Reuters. Reuters is a really good one. I recommend to everybody. Check out Reuters.
Reuters, yes. I've checked that one out as well. Yeah, people need to understand that the media, these media stations, ABS, Fox, CNN, they're all owned by 5 or 6 major companies. That's it. They own all of the rest of the little companies under them. If you turn on the news on a regular basis, they're gonna be saying the same thing if they're on a particular side of an issue. Okay, so you got the left wing and you got the right wing. Like you said, you got Fox. Fox is ultra conservative. We know they're Republican and they support the Republican side, whereas MSNBC is Democrat. You know that they support the Democrats. So you can see it and you can understand it when you watch it, that it's a partisan opinion on everything. And they make it seem like, they're so against, the other side. But when you really look at it, Mike, it's all about class, bro. It's about money. If those people are like lawyers, they got money. Don't get me wrong. Don't think Pelosi wouldn't go out to dinner with Trump after she says all these hateful things about him. She'll go out to dinner with him the next day, and that's just business. They're rich. At the end of the day, they got a lot of money. It's really not like we think it is, So people got to understand.
And plus, back in the day, too, when Reagan was president, he put in a 15-minute rule. Like, say, if you're on the Rush Limbaugh show, you have to give 15 minutes to a Democrat. And like with Rachel Maddow, you have to give 15 minutes to Rush Limbaugh. It's like they should bring back the rules. Like, no matter how long the program is, give someone on the other side 15 minutes to say what they got to say. I think they'll bring more balance than anything else. And right now, with the whole media thing, this is just totally unbalanced. And the thing I just tell people at this point, it's like, just watch all the networks and form your own opinion. Absolutely. That's all I can say at this point. Form your own opinion.
Did you see the presidential debate?
I have not watched 1 minute of it because
you didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything. You got a couple of guys up there. It was just totally unorganized. You got guys barking back and forth to each other.
Mudslinging. You're right. It's like two little kids going at it. Mudslinging. Yeah, it was like with Trump and Clinton back in the day. Yeah, mudslinging.
Yeah, they never cover any major issues. They just sit there and sling mud at each other. And, and I didn't see very much different in the vice presidential debate. But, like I said, man, this whole politics thing, man, people need to do their research and understand you got two sides to the coin. Or why else would an independent just be closed out of the process? Because I do consider myself an independent because I'm in the middle, man. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent. But, independents have no one out there to really vote for. You don't really, because they're not going to give an independent person a platform to even appeal to any Americans. That goes to show you right there, the political system needs reform. And they need to start with the Electoral College. Anytime you allow the most powerful person in our country to be chosen by a system that can be exploited and manipulated based on electoral votes and an electoral college and not a populist vote, that tells you right there that's where we need to start the reform. Okay? Because if somebody goes out and gets more votes than the other person, that should be the person that wins.
And many people are talking about doing away with the Electoral College too. And I think when Obama won the election, I mean, he had a few popular votes, but the Electoral College, he had the 5 big ones. You got New York, California, Illinois, Texas, and Ohio.
Who did Obama go up against? Was it McCain? Who did he?
I believe it was McCain. Yes, I believe it was. It was McCain. I mean, McCain won the popular vote, but Obama won by the Electoral College, and he went by the Electoral College. And there are a lot of people who are not happy about it.
Really? I thought Obama in his first election won the popular vote. I'd have to look that up, and I will look that because
it was somewhere along the lines. And one of those elections, there are quite a number of people that are really upset over the whole issue, and that's where they start saying abolish Electoral College.
I'm totally outspoken on the whole Obama thing, and you got, from one man to another, and I'm just saying, I don't really see what he did, for a black. I'm a black man, and he's supposed to be a black man. I don't really see what he did to really benefit us. Now he got up there, he has charisma, he talked the talk, but the only thing he did was he bailed out the banks. He bailed out the gays and lesbians, the LGBT community. He gave them new rights and things of this nature. But as far as just like helping the black people, he didn't really do anything for people like me. So I'm just going to be on the record to say that his whole candidacy was, I mean, not every black person feels like he really did something for him. So.
I think everybody's got an opinion to it as well. And I mean, as podcasters like you and I, journalists and everything else, and I was actually going to be a sports writer, but also a journalist at the same time. I've been in the news sector, and I'll tell you one thing: you have to listen to both sides of the stories and form your own opinion. So that's the thing I tell everybody. You know, listen to every side, listen to every network, and form your own opinion. I mean, God gave you brains, use them.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, there's just so many good things to talk about, and we do have the platform to be able to do it. Recently, I did a podcast with a lady named Marianne Petrie, and she wrote a book called Dismantling Family Court Corruption, When Taking the Children is Not Enough. Now, this is a Caucasian lady who suffered badly in the child support Title 4D system, just as bad as most of the black people that have to go through that system suffered in. And I found her story very profound, and we talked about it, and I did a podcast on it, and I also did a YouTube video on it, and it's doing really well. But her book is out there on the market, and she's story, and another system that needs reform. It's the family court system. I don't know if I told you that when we first talked the first time, when we first did our podcast. I don't know if I even mentioned it, but that's a system that I wrote my first book about.
I remember talking to you about that, and you said that there's a lot of loopholes that certain people take advantage of, and certainly needs a lot of reforming, a lot of changes, and whatever else. And you know, that should be like one of the issues when it comes to presidential elections, like, you know, how you can handle divorce and change the policies. What would Trump do? What would Biden do? You know, whatever, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, whenever there's a situation like that that makes so much money, Texas is the leader in child support collections. And just to give you a number, they made $4 billion last year on just child support Title 4D collections alone. And what happens is when they make that $4 billion on collections, the government matches them with another $4 billion to put in their system and give to the people at the top who's running it. And that feeds down to the lawyers, the judges, the child support enforcement agencies, and the other government agencies that's running this program. Whereas the common person gets cheated out of the whole process because when you go to court, you don't get due process. You don't even get your rights. You might have a lawyer right beside you, but you don't even get to say a word. So anyway, we'll have another podcast about that one too, Mike.
So I'm writing this down as we speak, Mike, and you know, perhaps we could just like make a series or something and bring some other people along too. And you're welcome to come on my podcast anytime. And you know, I got some great guests coming up in 2021, and you're included. And of course, bring some people back and looking to expand more and whatever else and tweak things a little bit. But I see your podcast going to be doing really well. I look forward to seeing the rankings, and you know, I'll be getting some more great guests, including you on board. And you know, let's keep in touch. Looking forward to having you again soon. And like I said, let's keep each other up to date on the Relevance Podcast you can hear with Mike Aikins.
That sounds great, Mike. I appreciate the plug. And yes, indeed, I will be in touch with you, and we'll keep this thing going. We'll have a series, and there's so much to talk about, and there's so much different political issues and different social issues that we can discuss using this platform, and that we can educate our listeners and give them something to think about, you know, something legitimate to think about. And coming from guys of different backgrounds and you know, with the same beliefs and even the same beliefs or even different beliefs with the same background. So, but anyway, I appreciate you being on the show tonight. And go ahead and plug your show while you have it here as we close out the show tonight.
Okay, well, I greatly appreciate it. And you can listen to the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com. You can check me on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, along with Amazon, Audible, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. And yes, follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today.
Great. Well, Mike, hey, it's been great. I look forward to having you on again in the near future. You have yourself a great evening, okay?
Thank you very much. It's been great having you on, Mike, and I look forward to being on with you again. You are absolutely fantastic, and all the best to you, Mike.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
As always, thanks for listening in on the show. And be sure to check out Mike's book, A Simple Guide to Child Support Redemption, available on Amazon.com, or his mobile app, Child Support Made Simple, CSMSX, available through the Google Play Store. And for the latest in current events and videos that really matter, be sure to log on to Mike's YouTube page, author Mike R. Aikins, or his website at www.relevancepodcast.com.